Hello and welcome to this introduction of TrendCatcher. During this video, I will introduce TrendCatcher. We'll discuss some of the differences between TrendCatcher and other indicators. We'll also discuss settings and how to set up buy and sell signals. So first, let's talk about what TrendCatcher is not. TrendCatcher is not a moving average. In fact, TrendCatcher uses volume-weighted linear regression with an ATR buffer zone, and then it can score signals on 4 quality components to tell you not only when to trade, but how confident you should be in the trade. So with simple moving averages, typically you're waiting for a price to cross a moving average or a moving average crossover. With TrendCatcher, the signal is generated when prices cross the TrendCatcher line, which uses a combination of volume-weighted regression plus an ATR buffer. This helps to ensure that you get some of the highest quality signals that are actionable for your trading style. So what makes TrendCatcher so unique? Well, as I mentioned before, it's a volume-weighted regression, not a simple average. What that means is high volume bars influence the line more and low volume bars influence it less. It also has an adaptive look-back period, which is not fixed. This means that whenever volatility is high, it looks at a shorter period. When volatility is low, it adjusts to a longer, smoother period. There's also an ATR buffer, so it's just not a crossover. Prices must cross the line plus by a certain percentage relative to ATR. And finally, if you're using the newest feature, which is signal scoring, it uses 4 different metrics to score between 20 and 100 that helps you quantify your level of confidence. So now let's get into the settings. So this is a chart of AMD on the daily, and you can see it's loaded with buy and sell signals. So one thing I typically recommend is find yourself in one direction. However, it's not a bad idea to have both on, and I'll explain why a little bit later. But first, let's go back to the settings. So you have 3 different trading styles. You have normal, aggressive, and conservative. An ATR multiplier. This will allow you to have more or fewer signals. Regression mode. This is a unique feature. If you want to have the indicator bias long positions, then you'll select long. If you're looking for short positions, select short, and it'll optimize the indicator to try to find more buy signals or more short signals. The signal cooldown is a unique feature. This makes sure that you won't receive too many buy signals together or too many sell signals together. Now the signal cooldown is specific to the buy bars only or sell bars only. So you won't get as many sell bars close together. However, you will get both buy and sell bars if they are within the 4-bar period. And this is intentional. Finally, we have volume filtering. Volume filtering will exclude certain signals if certain volume requirements are not met. If you want more signals, keep this toggle off. If you want fewer but higher quality, select volume filter. Of course, your buy and sell, the TrendCatcher line, and the signal strength line, which we'll discuss in more detail. So let's go ahead and just select the buy signals and the TrendCatcher line. And here we go. So as you can see, we're under normal, 0.5, and short. Let me change that to long. And there you see we have a lot more long positions. Now let's play with the settings even further. So we're going to go trading aggressive. Now if you take this down, so the default is 0.5, take it down to 0.1, which is the most aggressive. Now let's see what we have. And here you can see a lot of your buy signals shifted to the left, which is a great thing. So let's look at some of the buy signals. Here was your first, second, and as you can see, many of the signals are very close to pivot points. This is by design. TrendCatcher allows you to catch really great moves with a very, very low risk to reward ratio. Now let's go to a different time frame, 15 minutes. And again, you can see here's a buy signal. This would have been a failed buy signal, and we'll talk about that here shortly. Again, a buy signal and another buy signal. I highly recommend you take advantage of the 5-day free trial. Now, let's take a look at sell signal, and there we go. So again, you can see some of the early entry points for sell signals. Now what's important is how do we enter into the trades? If you watch the adaptive trend video, you'll realize that we use a very specific technique to enter into our positions, which not only give us an entry price, but also an exit price. So let me show you how that's done. If you're using TrendSpider, they have a useful tool, which is called Draw Fibs. So we're just going to draw our Fibonacci ratios, and usually this is used for extensions and retracements, but we're going to use it in a very unique way. So let's go ahead and take that off. So what you want to do is you're going to use your Fibonacci extension tool, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So for some of the values, you want to add in the following values. You may want to pause the video at this point so you can write down the values. So our entry point is going to be 1.125 of the range of the bar. Now this is a very specific number, but it's not random. It's actually based off Murray math. For your second level, which is your break even, you want 2.275, 3.4625, 4.65. Now for your stop loss, this needs to be a negative number. And I have negative 0.0625, which is half of this number here. With all of our indicators, the goal is to make sure that you have the best risk to reward ratio. TrendCatcher accomplishes this, and I'm going to show you how. So first, let's go ahead and look at this signal here. So it is a sell signal. So how would you enter into this position? So I'm going to go and reverse this. So you put one there, one down on the bottom, and this is your entry point. So you get the sell signal, you draw your entry and exit. Oh, by the way, let me go back real quick. Once you do this, hit custom annotations, save as custom annotation. I have mine called apply ENT/EXT. Okay, so here we go. So this is your entry point. So here, your first level is your break even. Second level is your 2-to-1, 3-to-1, and 4-to-1. So in this trade, it went down. You could have taken a profit here. It went back up, and then it fell all the way down to its last profit level. Let's turn on the buy signal, and we'll see what happens there. As you notice, I had this regression mode to long. If we wanted better signals or even more frequent signals, we could have changed it to short. But let's go to long, buy, and apply. Okay, here we go. So here are some of our buy signals. How do we enter into part of these trades? So again, grab your tool. You're going to click on the top of the bar to the bottom. So now that we have our stop loss and entry point selected, what I like to do is I'll take the tool here, the arrow tool, and I'll click one spot, and I'll go up to my entry point, and most of the time it locks right on there. My risk here is $2.02. So what does that mean? It basically means that I'm willing to risk $2 per share for every trade. So if I'm willing to risk $100, that means I can buy 50 shares. So I would enter 50 shares into this trade with a maximum loss of $100. And again, this is an approximation just for example uses. One thing that you may want to do, double click and then lock figure. There we go. As you can see, we entered this trade at 232.11. This broke out. What a great trade that would have been. So let's try another example. Let's go and unlock our figure. All right. Let's go to this very small bar here. All right, here's our buy. We'll unlock that in. Okay. So you had entered at 244.05. Your first profit level would have been 245.72. At this point, when the trend comes back down and tests your entry point, you would consider possibly exiting that trade. What about this one here? So this trade would have never triggered, and this is why we use this method. There are times whenever a bar does not trigger that it would be considered a false bar or a false buy signal. In this case, this would have been a false buy signal. It did not trigger, and it clues you in that the trend may be reversing on you. So again, this is a 15-minute chart. Let's look at a larger time frame. All right. And again, same technique, top to bottom. There's your entry point, 161.98, and you can see this hit right on your 1, 2, 3 to 1 profit level. Now it's important to set profit levels, at least if you want a break-even trade. Now you're playing with house money, so you would enter in, sell half of your position, move your stop loss to your entry point, and you're in a risk-free trade. In this case, you'd have had another gap up. So you see that that's the method in order to enter into certain trades. So again, this helps to keep out bogus trades. That would have been a failed buy bar, and if it fails, there's a good chance that you're going to see a reversal. Let's look at another symbol. All right, so let's go to the daily, and this time I want to add in both buy and sell signals. We're going to take this back down to a 3. We're going to go to balanced, and we're just going to go to normal. Okay, so here we have both buy and sell signals. Okay, let's find a good example. So prices pulled back. We're going to use our same method. So again, click the top, click the bottom. There's our entry point. So this sell signal right here, because it never triggered a sell, it is considered a false sell signal. If you have a false sell signal or a false buy signal, you can treat it in the reverse manner. So in this case, this actually becomes your entry point. And you'll find that this is a very useful tool. Now, let's go to even a smaller time frame. We're going to go to a 1-minute chart. Okay, here we go. Normal, 0.3, balanced. Again, TrendCatcher really shines in these deep pullbacks. So here we have a good entry. So start to the bottom. There's your entry point and your profit levels. This would have been a false bar or a false sell signal, and you got a little bit more out of it. But when you do find these sell signals up this high, you want to be a little cautious. Now I want to talk about signal strength. So we're going to go to the settings again. Click settings, signal strength, and that is going to change the labels. So you'll see TCS 86, TCB 78, TCS 74. What you're seeing are basically scores. So the higher the score, typically the more reliable the trade. So here you see a TCS, a short, of 80. This would be considered a very high trade. There's multiple factors that go into the scoring, but it helps to give you a little bit more confidence about the trade that you're entering into. Here we have a TCB 68, and you can see it didn't have a very long run. TCB 72, again, wasn't great. Anything over 75 is considered to be an excellent trade setup. Here's a bottom bar, TCB 84. Again, that would have been a great trade. Bottom bar, you would have caught the bottom, entered in at 603 with a $3 risk. It's pretty amazing. I'd like to thank you for spending time with me to discuss some of the features of TrendCatcher. TrendCatcher can be used with any other indicators. It can be used by itself. It's a great tool to add into your trading toolbox. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And make sure you check out our other indicators that are innovative, easy to use, and will make you a better trader.